Nanotronics is a deep tech startup pioneering the production of nanotechnology material derived from indigenous plants for use in various industrial applications such as for sustainable packaging material. Nanotronics is part of the Advanced Acceleration Program co-implemented by PhilDev Foundation and the Department of Trade and Industry. Dr. Jerome Palaganas is the CEO and co-founder of Nanotronics. So hello, Dr. Jerome. We're very honored and happy to have you dito sa Startup Podcast.
Good day. Of course, would like to greet the listeners in this podcast. Good day to everyone. So, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And of course, thank you for this opportunity, Johnny, that of course we will be discussing about Nanotronics. And of course, we will give some highlights of what we do, by the way, as a startup company.
Yes, we're very excited to learn more about Nanotronics, specifically yung pagiging in the nanotechnology material industry, and especially you're also developing some sustainable packaging material. I think those are some new words that we're really interested to learn more about. So let's start with the first question. Ano nga ba, Dr. Jerome, ang Nanotronics?
Okay, so Nanotronics, we are a Philippine-based startup, so we're 100% Filipino still. And of course, we are in deep technology. When you say deep technology, you're combining several of your sciences to actually come up with solutions, not just with specific problems, but of course, cutting through like industry. So in our case, we are combining biotechnology and nanotechnology such that we can come up with products, and then these products will have applications. So actually, it solves problems. Specifically, one we're targeting is actually into sustainability. It's the reason why we choose in terms of our product something which is highly sustainable, because we know for a fact that everyone is going out of the standard petroleum-based or what you call plastic, and it's an issue. At the same time, petroleum or actually those products coming from fossil-based, it's turned into waste, and of course it creates carbon emission. At the end of the day, it's a problem. So in our case, we're trying to avoid that. But beyond the sustainable materials, we have also applications that goes to beyond packaging, which we can apply through various industry applications.
Yeah, it's very interesting, no? Using science, kumbaga, as you said nga, deep tech is actually a combination of many sciences. And then you use them for a particular application na magagamit ng industry or some company or some organization. But let's start with the parang yung concept mismo, or yung core field ni Nanotronics, yung nanotechnology. It's kind of a new word for most of us here. So, ano po ba ang nanotechnology? And parang, how is it a material? Sorry if I'm not that familiar with these terms. Parang, how do you use, how do you make materials from nanotech? And is it cheaper ba? Is it stronger ba? Is it easier ba? Or maybe harder to produce? So can you share some maybe surface definitions for us about this?
Okay, so just a basic guideline. When we talk about nanotechnology, it can pertain to things, devices, or materials which are falling under sub or below 100 nanometer. So when you see that products are beyond or greater than 100 nanometers, it's not nanotechnology. So nanotechnology must fall under that category. Now, in our case, we are into the materials wherein we create the products, and then of course we have like several unique features that we can offer, not available using conventional materials or the one which is being offered in the market. Now, when you ask, is it cheaper? The answer is no, because since it's a very new technology, maybe in a couple of years when we scale up, we can bring down the cost in terms of it being competitive to existing, materials being used in the market. Is it stronger? The answer is yes. In fact, most of the nanomaterial products we produce are actually all are providing mechanical strength which is stronger than steel. So imagine steel is our benchmark, but we are like many times stronger than steel. So it's very, very strong material. Now, when you ask, is it hard or easy to produce? The answer it's very difficult. Actually, there is a technology portion wherein we will make it more challenging, but at the same time, that technology aspect actually it's a barrier. When you say barrier, that will become your competitive advantage, so that of course competitor cannot go quickly copy your technology. At the same time, we create newer and newer technologies coming from nanotechnology. So in fact, today we have like 8 intellectual properties, so to speak, since we started in 2018.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, nanotechnology pala is basically anything pero at a nanoscale, at a very, very, very small scale. I think that's the most basic definition about it. So, thank you, Dr. Jerome. No? So, hopefully natuto ang ating mga listeners about that. Pero, Nanotronics is also like making sustainable packaging material. So, paano naman, kumbaga, na-convert or na-transform or nagagawa paano gumagawa basically ng nanotech materials na also sustainable for sustainable packaging?
Okay, so first, to qualify a material to be sustainable, there are two things needed. First one, it must come from a highly renewable feedstock, meaning the raw materials should be highly renewable. Second, it should be biodegradable at the end of its life. So in our case, our nanomaterial has both these characteristics. That's the reason why we call it a sustainable nanomaterial or product. So in a simple application, it is actually an alternative to plastic packaging as we actually are driving today. However, it is still new, but of course, a very important material for use in emerging or what you call disruptive technologies like 3D printing. We are also using it right now to develop composites, and also we have like medical applications, as we can see, beyond the packaging application today.
Yeah, can I ask lang, Dr. Jerome, so nanotech is somehow an alternative to plastic. Is the reason parang mas ano ba siya, nagde-degrade ba siya, biodegradable ba siya or something? So, but it still retains like the strength or parang yung functionality ng plastic. So, how is it really an alternative to plastic material?
Actually, the reason why it is alternative, one, it offers the same feature as that of your plastic. So, what are the features that you need equivalent to a plastic? So you need to have like the mechanical strength. So you need packaging which can carry a certain weight, not lower, but of course competitive. Second, when you talk about plastics, they have like barrier properties. So mostly in water or like say moisture applications, you can see it's being packaged right now for oil. Also, you can actually package shampoo. But for an alternative material, paper, it's an alternative material, but it cannot actually function, to do that. But our material has the barrier properties. And then, of course, another unique property or things or the barrier property that we're looking at is actually gas barrier properties. Most actually plastics right now, in a certain level, they have these characteristics so that, of course, food would be preserved. In our case, we have much better property for the gas barrier, or what you call oxidation property, so that it prevents oxidation. So if you try to enclose or actually package food or maybe fruits or vegetable, then therefore you can preserve it on a longer period of time. Of course, vis-a-vis your plastic materials.
And is it also lightweight ba? Like plastic?
Yes, it's very lightweight, because the good thing about nanotechnology is that you don't have to use a lot of materials. In our case, usually we just add a certain portion, but it creates a lot of significant changes in properties of materials. Sometimes there are like unique feature that we can actually trigger and enable, making, say, the application right now something unique, which is beyond the current materials available today.
Yeah, I see. So it's basically like a science pa rin, no? So chemistry maybe, na parang you can still develop more kinds of material, different features, depende rin sa pangangailangan ng industry maybe. So let's talk about those industrial applications. I know that Nanotronics has quite some many actually clients. So can you just know parang ano na ba yung current applications or current clients na serve ni Nanotronics, just to get a picture ng materials na inyong napaproduce?
Okay, so let's start with the application. So as I've said, the key applications we're targeting because of sustainability. Number one, it's into packaging. We are also into composite, because right now, especially for electric vehicle, the drive is you want to have a sustainable material, but you need to have it as robust as possible for safety reasons. So that's another application that we're looking at, and of course, sooner or later, we hope to see our material or our product to be in electric vehicles. And then composite. So composite meaning these are combination of materials that's not just for like say cars, but of course you can use it for a lot of applications like marine, aerospace. Of course, even in our say for sports, right, similar to our shoes. So those are composite materials. So we have also some application for that. A filter application, of course, we have. And then we're also looking at coating, so special coating depending on application. And then now we have like medical application as we go on, and then most of our applications today are into 3D printing because we want actually to enable 3D printing because this is another disruptive technology, and 3D printing is the media wherein we can actually produce an end product by itself.
Yes, pero ang question siguro, Dr. Jerome, like maybe this is like maybe in a business perspective, no? Kasi it's also very interesting for me, like science, and then you really commercialize it. So if I'm let's say in the electric vehicle field, or let's say in some industry, like why would I choose nanotech material or nanotech-derived material compared to other materials that we have now?
Okay, so let's try to have like one specific application. Let's talk about electric vehicle because we know for a fact this is a very interesting topic, and everyone is going to that direction, trying to say go out of internal combustion engine for price reason, at the same time for climate change reason. So why would you like to go to nanotechnology? Number one, it has the lightweighting application, meaning unlike say fiberglass, I need to have like a lot of those material, like 30%, to add it, to plastic to make the composite or the body of the material, for it to achieve the functionality or the material strength of the body. But at the same time, it adds weight. So if you try to look at like marine or boats using fiberglass body, it's so heavy. So at the end of the day, there will be like cost of ownership because you will consume a lot of say energy or fuel. But with nanotechnology right now, apart from all the functionality that you actually get, like improved mechanical properties, strength, and then elongation, and then also toughness, you can actually get also lightweighting because it does not add a lot of weight to the material, but it strengthens the material. So at the end of the day, if I am in an EV or electric vehicle application, so what happens there is that you can actually extend the mileage of your electric battery because it's lightweight, but at the same time, of course, you are still protected because the material is robust. So in terms of quality, safety, and of course, to prevent, or actually to preserve life during the accident, if there is an accident, you will be protected because the material is so robust.
Yeah, so it's basically if I understand correctly, you can make it more lightweight, but it still retains or maybe stronger pang or more durable. So parang medyo siya mas magamit into more applications. Parang ito yung panggawa nila Iron Man, nila Batman ng kanilang mga armors or something. Parang because yes. I mean that's what you want actually in armors, diba? Lightweight pero strong and durable. So maybe nanotechnology can also have applications on those kind of fields. So let's go naman to some backstories. I'm really interested. What's the experience or what's the journey of being from the science field and going into commercialization, and especially in the startup ecosystem? So can you start muna, Dr. Jerome? What's your background as a Filipino scientist?
Okay, so my background is that I have like, in terms of the field of science, I have a PhD in material science and engineering. At the same time, I have like advanced, degree or discipline in advanced polymer. At the same time, nanomaterials or nanotechnology materials, and then additive manufacturing. So combine it all together, you can see that's where actually my competences is coming from in terms of like coming up or developing nanomaterials or nanotechnology materials. At the same time, you can see I can actually translate it because there are other disciplines that help this as well. Now, my other background, I have also a doctorate in business administration. So it's now a balance of both the technical, so the science and your engineering, as well as you can see on the other hand, the business and management. So from that perspective, every time when I look at, say, solving a problem, I'm not just solving a problem in terms of, the scientific standpoint, but I try to make assessment also if that will be like economically feasible, and then that will be like business feasible. So you will be looking at like not just trying to come up with a solution, but grow the startup, now, because you have an opportunity, you have a gap wherein you're trying to fill in, answer it, but at the same time, grow it as well in the future, and then try to look at the entire system. Because if you are a company, it's not just R&D, you need also your marketing, your sales, your finance, also your strategic planning, so that you can actually grow the company more than 3 years, 5 years, of course, in the future, like 10 years. So at the end of the day, what we have, is that we started with one material. Then of course now we have like 3 products which we are already offering or commercially available in the market. Wherein we have customers. So one of the customers that we have is the government. It's actually the Department of Science and Technology. Universities, we're serving them. So Mapua, UP, also De La Salle, Caraga State, and then of course the University of San Carlos. So those are just some. Then we have also, say, customers in the industry, both local and abroad. So that's my background in terms of the discipline, which actually made it favorable for me to come up or actually put up a startup.
It's really awesome for me. I mean, what you've shared, no, parang really marrying the best of both worlds, kumbaga. Pero it's true na parang sometimes when you just deal with the science, I mean, I'm not saying na all na, pero parang we don't sometimes consider yung parang economic viability nga nito, na parang meron kang new material, meron kang new technology, new innovation, pero hindi naman siya cheap to produce, such that hindi din siya magagamit ng maraming tao. So I think doon papasok yung parang meron tayong knowledge sa science, like sa material science, and even sa MBA, Business Administration. So parang yung science or yung new innovations na nagagawa natin from R&D ay talagang nako-commercialize and nagagamit ng mas maraming tao in a sustainable manner. Pero I'm just curious, Dr. Jerome, I think most of our listeners will also know the answer to this. Like when you were younger, like before college or before PhD, ganyan, parang why did you choose to take material science, and then ano yung kwento going into MBA? So can you just know some stories?
Okay. So actually, my undergrad degree, I have a Bachelor of Science in Electronics and Communication Engineering. So I'm also licensed. So it's actually very, very far from material science. So way back then, material science and engineering is not yet offered. So if you want to do material science and engineering, you can actually have a degree. This is like under the metallurgical engineering. But during that time, we're not fascinated because, of course, ECE or the BSACE, it's one of the top, courses wherein it's very demanding, or there's like a high demand in the job. One, because of telecoms, and then the other, it's of course the electronics and semiconductor. And you know for a fact that in the Philippines, the electronics and semiconductor industry is one of the big chunk of the industry contributing to the economy. Now, the other thing is that, of course, the reason why I took my MBA, I took it as early as possible. It's like having 2 years experience in the industry. And then, of course, I need, to go through the ladder, so the management ladder, as quickly as possible. I know for a fact that experiences cannot be replaced, but of course, there are frameworks that you can already learn in the process wherein it can help you. So it helped me a lot in terms of the supervisor skills, the conceptual management skills, the technical skills that I need to go through the ladder. So through INAP, I was able, to reach management position by the time I graduated from MBA. And then fortunately, I was able to get 8 times my salary, since I started from my MBA. So I was very happy. Now, going to the material science, I didn't actually plan doing another PhD because it's my second PhD, so to speak. So I started actually a business which is into trading. Now we're dealing with a company, a semiconductor company down south in the Philippines. And then, of course, the discussion there is highly technical since it's into material science. Now, it fascinated me. And of course, I took it as a challenge. So I said, I will actually learn material science, not to get a degree, but of course to apply it to, the actual business application, solving problems. But fortunately, I entered, and then of course took a course in MS or Masters in Material Science and Engineering, but I was promoted to PhD. So I took actually a straight PhD program, and I was fortunate to be given that chance, and then of course very happy. And then from there, there's another opportunity in the US wherein I can do a visiting scientist, role, which further accelerated, my journey as a material scientist. So there I've learned advanced polymer, which is what nanomaterial that we have right now is all about. And then, of course, application combining it with other materials. And then there I learned also the nanomaterial, technology. And then the other one is additive, because at the end of the day, you can actually say produce it, but the thing there is that you have to have a final product. So we have our conventional method of producing products like mold, extrusion for plastic, but thanks to additive manufacturing or 3D printing, there is like a new avenue for you to create novel and multifunctional materials. So it helped us, a lot in terms of developing newer, better, and multifunctional materials which can serve different needs of the industry. So it's a very exciting journey that I have. And I'm just fortunate. I just took it, as it happens. And then, of course, I don't actually accelerate things. So for me, when I study, I just took like one subject at a time. So take it as it is, because I'm still working, by the way, apart from studying. And then during the time that I was actually earning my PhD in material science and engineering, I was also a part-time professor or faculty at the Graduate School of Business of De La Salle, teaching MBA programs and BBA programs. So it's like a kind of tricky thing of time management.
Yeah, but that's really inspiring. I mean, that's really very loaded yung mga naging journey mo from I mean, the whole journey sa academe and yeah, right now nga venturing into the startup world. And first of all, we're very thankful that you came back to Philippines, and you're really serving the Philippines. You're really kumbaga using the knowledge that you've learned kung saan mang bahagi ng mundo to develop products na mapapakinabangan din natin mismo ng mga Pilipino. So going forward into the startup world naman, into Nanotronics itself. So Nanotronics has actually won many grants, joined many programs, and then Nanotronics recently joined PhilDev's Advanced Acceleration Program. So how was this journey, and maybe parang how did you benefit from these programs, especially yung sa PhilDev just recently?
Okay. So far we have received like 2 big grants. So one is coming from DOST. So DOST is the one who funded us in 2018 to pioneer the production of nanotechnology materials from highly renewable indigenous plants for various industrial application. And then the other one is the Shell LiveWire grant. So though it's like a competition, it's also actually an acceleration program. And of course, similarly, we have the DTI PhilDev Advanced Acceleration Program. So one of the reasons why we actually joined the program, it is because we saw an opportunity to expand our network. And for a fact, for a startup, network is very critical. So through it, we have like different networks in mentors and also coaches, as well as opportunity actually to connect also with people, not just here in the Philippines, but also abroad. And of course, opportunity to connect to business. So it's either our client or an investor. And on the other hand, it gave us an opportunity to fine tune our legal documents, because at the end of the day, after all the things, either there will be like a client or an investor, there will be like the legal requirements that you have to go through as a process, and then that will be crucial to make or break the startup. So for us, the latter has helped us, better in terms of preparation and of course discussion with our potential investors and also clients with Nanotronics.
Yeah, speaking of network not just of clients but also of investors. Parang how was the experience acquiring this network? Kasi I'm imagining like Nanotronics is introducing a new technology, nanotech, na hindi pag-aano ka-familiar ang karamihan ng mga tao. And also, lalo na going into sustainable packaging. So parang, how was the experience introducing this new technology? Parang, was it easy or was it hard, or meron bang challenges on getting these partnerships, on getting these partnerships? And parang, yeah, I mean, how was the overall experience?
In terms of the overall experience, it's like very challenging. So it's like Facebook way back, it's early days. We're in like no one here in the Philippines, since there's like limited in terms of knowledge in deep tech or deep technology for startups. So we find it a challenge actually to try to say present it with VCs or investor. Also, with VCs outside the country. But through time, since we're able to say capture at the same time progress our nanotechnology materials to become a product. So one way of introducing the product is a sustainable packaging, wherein this is a common ground for everyone to understand what our product is. And then from there, we actually impart more and of course come up with much better product with the applications right now. So the end application, did they appreciate the product and then see where we're coming from, and then from there we get like more and more tractions, not just with investor but also with clients. So today, since we have already like educated, so most of the people are, the parties or the groups that we talk to, it's much easier for us to convey. And then since of course we are part of the news every now and then of course we highlight also our technology. It's sort of giving education already. So for the last couple of years, this has become our, say, our strategy, or that has been effective for us in terms of making Nanotronics right now be part of really the startup ecosystem. Because if not, then therefore we will be left out. And for a fact that in the absence of funding, it will be very, very challenging for any startup, to survive for a longer period of time.
Yeah, it's very true. Actually, funding and capitalization is actually very important to really penetrate, to really get into the market, in the ecosystem. So speaking about this, no, what are like the future plans moving forward? Para ano yung next steps na gustong gawin ni Nanotronics, just so we can, para alam natin ng mga listeners, ano ba aabangan natin sa Nanotronics?
Okay, so currently, there are like so many opportunities with the packaging. It's a very big industry per se, and then opportunities there in terms of the market is so huge. So now, since we have started our journey or venture into sustainable packaging, we have launched our first fully sustainable packaging material, but we still have like limitation because we can only like package it or use it for non-water or non-liquid or non-oil. At the same time, we cannot use it for very small particles. So we want to progress and then of course come up with a new version, and then we're developing it right now. So once we have the newer version, which is capable to hold oil and also water, then we have like a broader, say, solution to the packaging industry market, and then of course we can capture more market and application. So imagine today, right, we can package, say, coffee, but especially shampoo. And for a fact that for big multinational companies to make their product more affordable to almost all Filipinos, they have to do this retail strategy wherein they're offering right now very low price of their product or the sachet. But this sachet is actually contributing also much of the pollution that we have. And then we're actually complaining about pollution. So this is one way we attack the problem so we can contribute in the environment and the community, as well as, of course, come up with a solution for not just big multinational companies, but of course help also SMEs. Because here in the Philippines, we have a lot of products, but at the end of the day, so if these SMEs would try to, or startup actually would try to venture globally to become successful globally. In Europe right now, you cannot actually enter the market when your product is actually not fully sustainable, including the packaging. And those multinational companies are actually headquartered there, and they have like operations here in the Philippines. So imagine the impact, especially if you will be catering to those companies or countries for that matter.
Oh, I see. That's really interesting. That's really, you can really parang embed that kind of strategy to enter the market, yung sustainable packaging. Kasi actually, not just regulations, even the people, sometimes some people parang they choose to use products na sustainable, yung material or yung the product itself. So for our last question, Dr. Jerome, I'm just curious about your thoughts on the state of R&D or research and development in the Philippines. Kasi Nanotronics is actually parang napakalaki yung part ng R&D sa Nanotronics as a company. So parang what do you think is the state of R&D in the Philippines? Also as someone who's from the academy, and parang how do you think should R&D and the startup ecosystem play together?
In terms of the overall impression with the R&D here in the Philippines, it's actually very meager, meaning not much of, like, say, initiative, even coming from multinational companies who are located here in the Philippines, or even local companies are putting, efforts in R&D. One, it is like very challenging. Then, of course, you need to have like key people to retain. And then third, there's the economics of it, because as you know, for R&D, you have to do investment now, hoping that in the future, so it will actually put you or bring back a big return of investment. So imagine Tesla, right? 10, 14 years ago, no one is actually minding Tesla as an electric car. But who is Tesla today? A multi-trillion dollar company, and people would invest, of course, buy Tesla. It's because Tesla is Tesla, and everyone is copying. But when Tesla, began their journey, all other companies, especially in the automotive, are saying this guy will just be gone in a couple of years. So in the Philippines, we want also to drive that kind of initiative wherein big companies or also local companies would go through research and development. So in fact, the government to our Department of Science and Technology is enticing not just multinational companies but also local and SMEs to conduct R&D. So in fact, DOST also has placed the business innovation through science and technology, or what you call BIS initiative, to entice local companies to conduct. So this would be a sort of funding, but of course, this funding would take care of buying the equipment. So this will be very, very helpful for local companies, especially for startup, if you have like R&D capability. And we believe that the country as a whole is not as competitive as compared to our brothers and sisters here in Asia, if you try to compare it. So taking off like Japan and Korea out of the equation, just try to compare us with like Thailand or Singapore. We're not even as close to those countries, wherein these countries are very, very progressive because of their R&D capabilities. And our company, this is our lifeline, or actually one of our core competencies, the R&D. And then startups, for them to thrive and then of course have their long-term sustainability, it's not just the solution that they have that will actually make them successful, but they need to have like R&D capabilities so that not just they can pivot, but they can come up with newer and better products and services in the future.
Yeah, but it's true. R&D can really research actually in general can really take a long time to reap the benefits. Maybe 10, 20 years. Parang yun yung usual na time you have to wait. But it's true that the startups and even companies really have to innovate, and parang by R&D, it's a heavy capital insertion pero long term, and hopefully malaki din yung ating mga benefit in the long run. So yeah, so for our last question, Dr. Jerome, so can you just share some words of advice bilang a scientist and then venture into the startup world? So parang what can you advise our Filipino listeners? Parang what should we do for the country or for the society moving forward as a nation? So yeah, can you just share some words?
Okay, so I just want to impart some of the advices that I have. So number one is that you need to innovate, because currently as a startup, some, if not all that I can see, they're just going through the waves, or actually going through the motion. So if there's like one fintech company, and then there's all other fintech. So you have to come up with a very competitive, not just solution, but you need to have a niche. So you have to carve your own niche, wherein there's like high barrier for entry. So it's more than technology, it's the intellectual capital or property that you actually put either as a patent or say a trade secret or a copyright, where it will protect you at the end of the day. And then second, as I've said, make R&D, by the way, as part of your core competency, because in our case, and the most of the big companies that you can see out there, so I'll name a few: Tesla, Amazon, Google, right? And then even Apple. So innovation and R&D, are two of the things that they do best, by the way. So at the end of the day, people will buy your products because they love it. They actually solve problems, and then they see that there is like value that you actually, give. So beyond pricing is actually, it's neutral for most of the companies, but people will buy products if you have like very innovative products and services. So that's my piece of advice.
Yeah, and it's actually true na like with Google and Amazon and Tesla even, parang akala natin na madali lang, kumbaga, I mean, ang dami ng pinagdaanan ng mga technologies na ginagamit natin ngayon. Hindi yan basta-basta lumabas dyan. Malaking investment and decision making and research nga ang pinagdaanan ng mga bagay na ginagamit natin ngayon. So, yeah, R&D is really something that maybe the country as a whole should focus more on. Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Jerome, for sharing not just this words of advice, but also your journey and ano bang ginagawa ng Nanotronics. So, hopefully, lumaki pa ang network ng Nanotronics and sana more people know more about nanotech and even yung sustainable packaging materials. So thank you, Dr. Jerome. So if our listeners just want to know more about Nanotronics, maybe they want to know more about the company and about what you do. So where can they get more information?
Okay, to know more about Nanotronics, you may visit our website at www.nanotronics3.com. So you add number 3 at the end of Nanotronics. We are also in LinkedIn in the social media, so you can actually visit our LinkedIn page to know more about the current happenings in Nanotronics. But if you want to know the latest happenings, you can also go through our current news in our website at nanotronics3.com. So that's how you can go, of course, know more about our company or startup.
Yes, maraming salamat for sharing, Dr. Jerome.
Yeah, thank you very much also for inviting Johnny. And then I wish everyone and you a very pleasant day.
Thank you very much to our 21 patrons. AskLex PH is our official e-learning partner. Get 5% discount on e-learning courses and certification programs on Lean Six Sigma, project management, data science, and many more using our promo code ALPHAXSUP. This episode is super powered by NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. Looking for buy and sell online with Sigurado sellers. Benjoy's Food Products, the home of premium bacon ends, tapa, and tocino. And 8Chain, an 8-in-1 cryptocurrency project building one chain at a time, starting with MaxRep Workout and Earn. This episode is powered by ePlayment, Interleukin, and ROC.ph. Support us at www.patreon.com/startuppodcastph.